Thank you, sir, for your kind words. You have taken a very dynamic approach after becoming the dean of this college, and I express my obligation to you. I express and I hope that you will take this college to a very high level. Next, please. This topic is liver transplantation, medical and surgical. As you all know, this is the hepatology department. This is the youngest department in the SU Medical College. Started almost in 2012, and we have 4 faculties. And in the 2009, with all your active cooperation, suggestions, and blessing, we got permission from the MCI to start DM in hepatology. I express my gratitude to Professor Dr. Sarota, who is presently also at that time a member of the medical MCI or medical commission, to have suggestions in the right time, in the right forum, and in a right way. Thank you, sir. Next. As you all know, the liver is the largest organ of the body, and it has, next please, it has dual blood supply, hepatic artery 30%, portal vein 70%, and while doing transplantation, we have to do, surgeon have to do a 4 anastomosis in LT, 3 vascular anastomosis with IVC, hepatic artery and portal vein, and 1 is biliary anastomosis. Next, please. That is why it is a very complex and challenging subject or procedure. As you all know, the live liver transplantation is the curative treatment of all end-stage liver disease, whether it is a liver failure or acute or cirrhosis or malignancy, whatever may be. And the liver transplantation showed remarkable post-LT survival and quality of life. The first year survival is 96%, 5 years is 83%, 10 years is 71%, and up to 20 years, 52%. And this is a very good post-LT survival and with good quality of life. Next, please. It was first started in 1990. More than 2 lakh people are dying in India every year from liver failure, and there is no hope of liver transplantation. First successful transplantation was done in Indraprastha Apollo Hospital in 1998. Until 2004, only 131 transplants occurred in India. Recently, both liver live donor transplant and diseased donor transplant has picked up in both southern India and in northern India. This is the estimated need of liver transplantation in India is around 20 per million population, but the current rate is around 1.2. Next, please. These are the centers for liver transplantation, almost 20 centers all over India. And the maximum transplant is probably in Medant Liver Institute at Delhi. Next, please. We have about 8 cases referred from hepatology department, and they have undergone successful liver transplant, and they are regularly being followed up. And only the first case succumbed within 3 months because of cardiac arrest, not related to liver transplant. Next, please. This is the number of the patients. Details have been given below. And the last transplant was occurred in 2020 because of a nurse from Barampur. And this is the disease donor liver transplant. It was done in Hyderabad. Next, please. Next, please. We have enough cases every year, around 1,000, 1,500 cases of both child A, B, and C. There we are doing not doing the curative treatment because the facilities are not there, but enough cases are there to refer those cases for transplant. Next, please. If the total number of cases in 3 or years will take, it may be more than 15 or child B or C cirrhosis. The male more than 15 is around 75%, and the child B, C cirrhosis will be around 67% of patients require liver transplantation. So etiology, again, most cases belong to alcohol. Next. Now I will request Dr. Sanatan Behera, co-moderator, to introduce the guest speakers.
Thank you. Respected everybody, including my teacher and and my colleague and my juniors. Already the introduction has been given. Kaushik Chaudhary is from this college. Though when he was a postgraduate, I was a lecturer. Now he is associate professor in ILBS New Delhi. Next. And he has so many medals in during MBBS career, and he is a member in ESL as well as ASLD. Next. And he has 30 publications, and he has a lead role in liver transplantation in ILBS. Next. Then another, the surgeon, Dr. K. Venugopal, who is a chief surgeon liver transplant unit in the Yashoda Institute of Liver Disease from Secunderabad. Though he is from Odisha, Barampur, he has passed MBBS for MKCG and MS for JIPPER, FRCS for Edinburgh. He has 25 publications and special. Though he has, in 20 years, he has transplanted around 2,000 liver transplant, both disease as well as live donors. Okay. Connect to Ashok Chaudhary for the medical aspect of liver transplant.
Thank you, sir. The initial data by Umesh sir was made my job very easy. But what I discussed already that this topic is itself a book itself what we are doing as a transplant hepatology. So to focus, I just taken the pre-transplant management because in SCB we are getting more, and if required, we can later take post-transplant management as case basis. So I'll cover on these lines. First, how to proceed. As rightly said, the transplant started in 1967, and in India, the transplant was cadaver, which onset in 1995, around 20 years back, and then successfully 98, but it has now peaked as shown the data. Why? Because we think that is having a major thinking that is a poor outcome, lifelong medication, too costly. But we forgot the basic part that is a life saving, gives a new life. You can say a disease natural course of has been altered, and over the time the life living with the transplant has increased. So we need to think our attitude should change from this half glass water to half empty glass so that we can think away. So this transplant has evolved rapidly. This is basically Europe that I have shown, but the initially the reflection also same in the India. The survival is close to 70% after 10 years. The success is because of newer immunosuppressive drugs, newer preservative solutions for the cadaver transplants. Surgical technique has markedly improved over the years, and being the development of transplant hepatology as a course, the people are often sensitized, hence leading to the diagnosis and managing the complications very early. So as we discussed, sir already sort of why you need. Before that, I just want to say transplant is two types: live donors and it is a deceased donor. Live donor, you can see it is one has to give half liver. Here the liver of the donor becomes two. That means the half liver that remains with donor is functioning as full, and the recipient who's received another part is received the becomes a full functional. So about the amount of liver donated is not exactly half what I wrongly said, but it is as far as the weight and the we call it as GRW or graft recipient weight ratio. We have to calculate by the formula, then we give. Whereas cadaver is a transplant where we give the whole liver. So here a part liver is gone, which is survival adequate for the donor and also adequate for the recipient. Whereas for the deceased donor, you have to give the whole liver in toto, single person. This is for the basics. There's a lot of changes we can give: split liver, auxiliary liver transplant, the other things we are not going to. So as already we have discussed, it is a life saving, improves the quality of life, and outcome has been improved. So why we need, you can see this is a patient of liver who get a normal liver, sudden acute insult that become a ALF, where it is one of the medical elements we need a transplant. A patient of decompensated cirrhosis who develop acute insult that leads to sepsis, bleed, AKI, hepatic insult, there are complications. Another group is there, those who develop for the first time, but they worsen to develop jaundice, ascites, and they become a complex, we call it as ACLF or acute decompensation. So this group of the patients will need a transplant. So just to summarize, a person who has a rapidly deteriorating liver suddenly, pancreatitis normal liver, that is ALF, it is a medical emergency. Those already decompensated, they get an insult worsening disease, or those on already stable disease are diagnosed, not diagnosed, they get a liver failure. So these are the group of patients across the whole liver disease who may need transplant at any point in time. So important part is that how these patients are going to be benefited when you could think of going for the transplant. So LT should be considered in a patient if his survival is going to improve at least for 1 year. So sorry, reverse what I told, the expected survival is less than 1 year in absence of a transplant. And when the quality of life is very much poor, you can say few liver disease where liver is not a problem. You can say polycystic liver disease. The persons have no problem related to liver, but they have a huge liver, around 15 kilo, 20 kilo liver. The quality of life is poor. Budd-Chiari syndrome, where some few parasitic diseases, complex like hepatopulmonary syndrome, where the patient is having dyspnea, hypoxia, and portopulmonary hypertension. So these are the few conditions where we need the transplant in absence of a liver at risk because of the poor quality of life. So just to summarize, what we get the acute liver failure most common in our center is hepatitis A and E, to some extent hepatitis B. Now very much often we are getting the DILI, drug induced, particularly in Indian scenario, it is the tubercular drugs, anti-epileptic drugs, and few antibiotics. Paracetamol is a Western drug, mushroom poisoning, which is now obsolete, halothane, which is no more used. Then what we discuss about the ACLF, then cirrhosis, we call it end-stage liver disease. Then comes the various malignancies, primarily offered is the hepatocellular carcinoma or cholangiocarcinoma. Then few other carcinomas, here interesting that there are metastases to the liver, but transplant is going to be helpful, particularly the carcinoids. And you know about the Steve Jobs also, he has offered from this pancreatic neuroendocrine tumor for the transplant. Then vascular we have discussed already. Then important is a basket is a metabolic disorders, various metabolic disorders which can be completely cured when you consider the transplant as an option. Most commonly what we see is the Wilson's disease in our setup. What we can see is the oxaluria. You can see what that is called as the hemochromatosis, but these are very uncommon. Tyrosinemia is a little bit common. So these are the few of the things from a pediatric point of view when they should refer early for the transplant. So what we discussed before, the transplant is needed, but there is some conditions which considered as urgent. That means transplant should be done immediately now within 6 to 12 hours, or maybe maximum up to 48 to 72 hours. So that is called as fulminant hepatic failure, or we call as the acute liver failure. Then if a person has been transplanted, they are considered two groups, that is primary non-function, or they develop transplant related complaint, hepatic artery thrombosis. And Wilson's disease are discussed genetic worsening. So these are the diseases where it is given a status 1A. Status 1A is very much used in the cadaver setting, particularly Western, and also in India when there is a transplant needed for this, and the transplant mode is only ALF. What happens here? It becomes a emergency. The list was circulated across the country in USA. Now they make it zone wise, and in India we do a roto or soto wise, state wise, roto wise, that there is a patient with this diagnosis, so that any organ available, they should get first priority to these 4 patients. Hence, they are considered status 1A for the transplant. So then next will come to the how to go for a cadaver transplant. So this patient should be listed, and as I discussed, that survival should be there. So what are the patients should be considered for the transplant? Thus patients should have a decompensated cirrhosis, which is known very much as the Child-Pugh score. Then presence of varicose bleeding, that is very much problematic. Development of SBP, spontaneous bacterial peritonitis, that is infection in the ascitic fluid. Ascites, which is a refractory. If it is hepatic encephalopathy or liver cancer, as we did the SCC, and other etiologies what we have discussed few, and I will come in subsequent sections. So these are the indications where we called as a minimalistic criteria. That means if we got a patient in our OPD follow-up, he is having problematic bleeding, not a single episode of HCV, is a problematic bleeding, decompensated cirrhosis, particularly child B or C. He developed a complication of ascites, either it is refractory or it becomes infected. They develop hepatic encephalopathy at any point of time, or if liver cancer is there, and worsening of liver failure. So these are the common things where these patients should be listed. This listed means the transplant should be offered whenever a cadaver is available. Why? You can see a person is been diagnosed with a cirrhosis, he develops no decompensation, survival is close to 9 years. Any form of decompensation is ascites, jaundice, hepatic encephalopathy, varicose bleed, sepsis. These are the complications where survival close down to 1.6 to 2 years, even though they recover from the acute episode of decompensation. Presence of a SBP, that is acidic fluid infection, survival becomes less than 1 year. If this person have a kidney problem and diagnosed with hepatorenal syndrome, the survival is in only weeks to months. So these are the group of patients, once admitted to you, they get recovered. But if they are having like SBP or HRS, we should not think that this patient is recovered, he is going to better. We should put them into early transplant. So early transplant is what we have discussed already. I'm not going again, but here the various criteria they are suggesting to go for transplant, because this Western criteria where this live donor is not a robust program, there is no one is volunteering for the donation, so cadaver is the transplant. Even in our Odisha also, when we are going to start the transplant program, the first should be the cadaver transplant, because Dr. Venugopal is coming, he will say, I think in limited resource with a progressively increasing experience, the first should be the cadaver setting. Hence, the cadaver listing, minimal listing criteria, allocation policy, and early referral for the transplant is the need to get a successful transplant program in particularly our state Odisha. So when we refer for the transplant, we often very much get the patients that the thing denied for the transplants is called as a contraindications. Why? If very important is that any patient of compensated cirrhosis, because we have seen a couple of patients, the diagnosed cirrhosis go for the transplant. So this is a absolute contraindication. If a compensated cirrhosis, he is not having any complications. In compensated cirrhosis, you can get complication in form of SCC, which need transplant, compensated cirrhosis with hepatopulmonary syndrome, portopulmonary hypertension, or genetic disease. These are the group of patients who are exceptions, because in that case, the liver has not failed. Those having severe cardiopulmonary disease, active uncontrolled infection or sepsis, presence of malignancy outside of the liver, active substance abuse, presence of AIDS is not the HIV positivity, it is the AIDS complex, and having some systemic disease like you can say uh, interstitial liver lung disease like this, those patients are non-compliant. And there is few anatomical abnormalities Dr. Venugopal can say. So these are the absolute contraindications. Then we consider the cholangiocarcinoma relative, which portal vein thrombosis now no more contraindications, few infections, HIV, previous malignancy, active psychiatric disease, those having poor psychosocial support. They are not contraindications. They need to be evaluated case to case basis with decision by a transplant board team to consider transplant or no. So then once we consider that the transplant should be done, indications, contraindications, then what are the decompensation and how they impact. So this is what I call the most commonly we see is the ascites in our daily clinic. Ascites presence can be present
Nemesis.